Good evening and welcome to Tribune Sports Live. I'm Zach Steele. He's Scott Buttram. And Scott, interesting week in week 2.
It was a very interesting week. The Hewitt game was a blowout that nobody saw coming. The Clay-Chalkville game, another barn burner going right down to the last minute. And Pinson dropping a game I don't think they expected to lose.
Was that your biggest surprise of the week, Pinson going to Ramsey and losing?
It actually was, yeah.
The other big surprise of the week you already mentioned, Hewitt, we showed up at a football game Friday night and a basketball game broke out.
It really did.
78-56. I tweeted that this was more like a life experience at a certain point because it was a 4-hour-long game. Not a lot of defense in this one.
Yeah, Husky fast break took the place of Husky fast. And it was a game unlike any I've ever seen and maybe the longest high school game I have ever sat through in my entire life.
Well, we'll break that one down when we come back. We'll also be talking about the Clay-Chalkville Cougars and their big victory over Bessemer City, as well as Pinson's loss at Ramsey. We'll be back in just a moment.
Trussville Vision Care is now proud to offer sports vision training for athletes. This sports-specific training improves hand-eye coordination and reaction time. As a former college athlete, Dr. Steele knows how important perfect vision is to succeed on the athletic field. For athletes, 20/20 vision is not enough. Trussville Vision Care. At Bryant Bank, we focus on you. You'll never have to worry about being just another number in the system. When you're a member of the Bryant Bank family, our Bryant Bankers will work to understand who you are, where you want to go, and how we can help you to get there. We're big believers in developing relationships with our customers, and we value friendships we make along the way. Bryant Bank provides unbeatable service and legendary results. Bryant Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Welcome back, and Scott, we already mentioned it. The Hewitt Huskies put up 78 points in this game. Now, their defense gives up 56 points in this game, so you think you're going to give up 56 points, you're going to get blown out.
Right.
However, the Huskies still win by 22 points.
They did, and I spent a little time on the sideline. I spent some time next to Rudy Griffin, defensive coordinator for Hewitt. After about a minute and a half, I felt like I'd been around as much intensity as I could stand for the night. He was very frustrated trying to get his players in a good position, but really struggling against the Manatee speed.
Well, the Manatee was a mix of speed and power, a very big, strong, powerful running back, really good passing game, and a very, very quick receiver. And, they went through the Husky defense like a knife through hot butter.
They really did, but Hewitt does have the advantage of the offense. And when they need to just flat out score people, they seem to have that ability this year. Still early in the season, but Friday night, they just outscored.
I want to talk a little bit about Grayson Cash in that offense. Grayson Cash, 6 touchdowns. He's got 9 touchdowns on the year. I read that he's on a pace for 45 touchdowns this year. 227 yards rushing in this game, and he's just part of the story. There were so many weapons for Hewitt Friday night.
They really were. They were all over the field. In terms of Grayson Cash, I've been watching Grayson play since he was playing Little League ball, probably his first year to play Little League football. Nothing Grayson does surprises me. Josh Floyd said recently, he's just a football player, and that's the best description I've heard of Grayson. He's just a player.
All right, so let's go back to the defense for just a second. Are we concerned at this point about the Husky defense, or is it just a product of the way they play offense?
Well, I think Rudy Griffin expects a great deal more from his defense. I don't think he is willing to accept for 1 minute that this is a byproduct of the offense. I think he expects a stable defensive line. I think he expects solid play from the linebackers in the secondary. The defense did turn this game, and it's easy to look at the scores Manatee put up and forget that. But there was an interception, pick 6, return for a touchdown. There was a defensive stop that kept a back and forth game from being back and forth and gave Hewitt the opportunity to jump up 2 scores. So the defense did make some plays to turn this game.
The Huskies will be on the road at Gadsden next week for their first region contest. When we come back, we'll talk about Clay-Chalkville and their big road win at Bessemer City.
Gunnar Roy would like to invite you to visit one of their 3 stores on Deerfoot Parkway. Both Shell locations on Deerfoot offer delicious Hunt Brothers pizza, one at Highway 11 and the other at Old Springville Road, which was a BP and now has a fabulous new look customers need to see to believe. The Chevron at Happy Hollow Road features mouth-watering Pop Donuts that are delivered fresh each and every morning. A proud supporter of the community for more than 20 years, offering quality products at a fair price in a clean environment with friendly and efficient service, Gunner Oil.
Jefferson Memorial Funeral Home and Gardens is home-owned and operated by the Seal family. I've known Eddie Seal and his son Adam for over 25 years. They're community-oriented and, more importantly, good folks who know how to take care of people in their time of need. That's how Jefferson Memorial became Trustful's funeral home and cemetery. Jefferson Memorial is located at 1591 Gadsden Highway. You can call them at 322-0543. Before your need arises, let Jefferson Memorial family take care of your family.
Now it's time for our Clay Chalkville review, and Clay goes to Bessemer City, Scott. Another Malox moment for them as they pull out a late victory, 33-30 over Bessemer City.
Back-to-back ball games like that for the Cougars, where it goes down to the wire and they pull it out at the end. Jerry Hood, I promise you, is getting mileage out of these games in the locker room. He's using this to get those players' attention.
Their offense seemingly hasn't missed a beat. You know, Ty Pigram's gone to the University of Maryland. They've seemed to have picked right up where they left off, and I tell you what, Mr. Miller's doing a good job at quarterback. He
is. I think he may be the surprise so far this year. He's taken control of the offense. He was the one that made the big play going down the stretch. Let's remember, they did the same thing early last season against Hillcrest and Tuscaloosa, and Coach Hood took the mental aspect of that and rode it all the way to the 6A championship game. I expect he's going to try to do that again with this team. He's a master motivator.
Well, they've played two pretty tough opponents in the first 2 weeks. They will be on the road, actually at home this week against Walker in their first region contest. Let me ask you this. We talked about Hewitt's defense. Should Clay be concerned about their defense at this point?
I think they've got reason to be concerned. They're probably giving up more than that coaching staff would like for them to give up. I also think this staff has the talent over there to bring these players around. Again, he used that as motivation last year. He played the poor, pitiful me with his defense all year long, and they kept rising to the occasion over and over and over. There is a high expectation among that staff for those defensive players. I bet they rise to that expectation before it's over with.
And as we said, they host Walker next week in their first region contest. When we come back, we're going to talk about Pinson Valley, who lost on the road last week at Ramsey.
Whether you're looking to buy your first home or you're trying to sell the one you're in now and need advice from a realtor, turn to Lee Marlowe, Realty South Realtor. Contact Lee today at 205-913-9559 or visit Lee at leemarlowehomes.com.
Welcome back, and it's time for our Pinson Valley review. And Scott, a disappointing night for the Indians as they fall 31-15 to Ramsey.
It really is. They come off such a big win against McAdory to open the season, an emotional win, and then to come and lose to Ramsey, which I'm just sure that staff and those players did not anticipate that. Ramsey pretty much controlled that ballgame.
Ramsey got up 17-0 early. The offense just couldn't get anything going for Pinson, and they were in too deep of a hole when they decided to mount their comeback.
That's right, and they didn't have all the weapons they needed to bring it back. It was pretty valiant effort to come back and get back in it, but going down 17-0 with a young offense is a tough position to find yourself in, on the road.
And Pinson's defense was not its usual self either, and Coach Glover talked about in the post-game press conference how his team just didn't get prepared mentally this week. And he called out his coaching staff as well and said, look, we didn't prepare well as a team and as coaches to get ready for this ball game. And you know as well as I do, you can't do that every week and expect to be successful.
No, and that's the Matt Glover style. He's a classy coach. He's going to put the responsibility back on himself and on his staff. It takes them a little bit each year to plug in the right pieces in the right places, but they're pretty good at doing that. As the season goes on, Pinson has a kind of a history of getting better as they go. I think the staff will rise to the occasion. I think the players will rise to the occasion. I still look for Pinson to have a pretty good year.
Well, they're going to have a tough test next week as they travel to Minor, a very good team, a team that went deep in the playoffs last year. So, maybe this was a look-ahead week for them, and they overlooked a pretty decent Ramsey team, and got caught looking ahead. So we hope that they will get it all straightened out before they go and take on Minor up at their place.
This is the kind of game you'd expect Pinson to get up for. Minor played Hewitt in their spring game, and Minor actually beat the Hewitt starters for 3 quarters before they came with the substitutes. Minor is loaded athletically. Pinson's going to have their head in the game physically and mentally to win this one.
All right, when we come back, we'll have predictions for you and players of the week.
Tribune Sports Live is sponsored in part by State Senator Slade Blackwell of District 15. Senator Blackwell represents parts of Talladega, Shelby, and Jefferson counties, including the Trussville area. A former high school and college athlete, Senator Blackwell is pleased to promote our local schools and student athletes. As football season gets underway, it's time to say, go Huskies, go Cougars, and go Indians. Here's to a successful and safe year for all who are involved with high school athletics in our area.
Welcome back. Well, it's time for our Players of the Week, and Scott, for the Hewitt-Trussville Huskies, it's pretty obvious Grayson Cash deserves the Player of the Week this week.
Grayson Cash is the Player of the Week in the entire state of Alabama, as far as I'm concerned. If you can show me a player that turned in a better performance than 6 touchdowns, I want to see it.
Well, Noah Igbenogany had 3, I think.
So
yeah, he had a pretty good
which
game.
is half of it.
Yeah, half of
it.
Yeah, any other night.
Not a bad night.
Any other night, your Player of the Week, but
right.
not this week, Noah. Sorry. For Clay Chalkville, Willie Miller had a great game, scored the last-second touchdown to put Clay over the top against Bessemer City.
Clutch play when he had to do it. We had that video. Chris Yao had the video on Facebook Live as that play unfolded. And, man, it's just one of those heart stoppers. We've got a good quarterback again at Clay Chalkville.
And at Pinson, Jackie Matthews not a bad quarterback either. He did a good job leading his team back, just fell a little short against Ramsey.
Yeah, not surrounded with quite as much help as I'm sure he would like to have at this point, but these guys will come along as the season goes, but he's turning in some pretty solid play.
All right, so let's go ahead and do our predictions now. We'll start with Hewitt at Gadsden. The first region game for Hewitt, they're taking on Gadsden, a team that's 1-1 coming into this ball game. Your thoughts on this one?
My thoughts across the board with all our teams, and we'll get to the other two, is some teams are going to pay for the defensive struggles of last week. I'm taking Hewitt 42-17. I think Rudy Griffin is going to have a come to Jesus revival meeting with his defensive players this week, and I think the Hewitt defenders will put up a much better showing next week against Gadsden City.
So you think Gadsden's only going to hold Hewitt to 42, huh?
I'm trying to be nice. If Hewitt goes off, that could be 62, but 42 is a little more conservative, so I'm going to go 42-17 Hewitt.
I like that score. I'll go Hewitt 45-24 against Gadsden. All right, Clay at home against Walker from Jasper. Traditionally pretty good ball club and up there in Jasper.
Well, as I said, somebody's got to pay, and the poor Vikings from Walker are going to pay, and they're going to pay dearly. I think Clay wins this one 35-3. I think the Clay defense is where Coach Hood thinks he can show the most improvement this coming week. I think he is going to put a lot of pressure on them to play Clay Chalkville style football, and Walker's going to be the beneficiary.
Well, I agree with you again. I think Clay is going to take care of business in this ball game. I like him 38-21. All right, Pinson at Minor. This one maybe a little tougher to pick. Minor's a very good ball club. Pinson coming off the loss. What are your thoughts on this one?
I think Pinson's reeling a little bit now. I think they will continue to improve as the year goes along. I think they're catching Minor at a really bad time. I think the Minor athleticism is going to really show. It's going to be a tough week for Pinson. I'm picking Minor 31-17 over Pinson.
I like Minor in this one too. Maybe a little bit closer. I'm going to say Minor 28-24. All right, that's our show. We'll be back next week to recap all these games and look forward in the season. For Scott Buttram, I'm Zach Steele. Good night, everybody.